Hey friends, welcome back to the channel with more Westworld. This is Season 3, Episode 1, the season premiere, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what all of our characters do this new season now that the stakes have been raised and is a whole different ballgame now with Bernard and Dolores outside in the human world. I want to see what they do in this world with their free will. I don't think we've had a sentient host, I almost said Chronicom, which is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., sentient host out of the park before, so this will be fun. And looks like Maeve is going to be brought back to life by Felix and Sylvester, our cats. Well, Felix is my favorite cat, but yeah, looking forward to seeing what she does on her journey as well. And then in the post-credit scene with William, it seemed like there was a host version of his daughter testing him for fidelity. Does that mean he's dead? Does that mean I don't even know. So yeah, I'm excited to see what happens this time. If you guys want to watch the full reaction, you can check out Patreon in the link in the description below. Thank Danny, the animated heroine, for continuing to edit this series. She'll be doing this season as well. And yeah, let's get started.
Nicht so schlimm ist wie nach den ersten Berichten. Die Opfer waren größtenteils Angestellte. Sie hatten makellose Sicherheitsstandards.
This is a fairly sizable fucking blemish, wouldn't you say?
Chef is ready to serve dinner.
I told you not to interrupt me. I don't care about Chef or his fucking dinner.
Freaking abusive towards his staff.
I pay you.
What is that?
I don't want you going into town alone anymore. It's a security risk.
You guys can tell already, I don't like this guy, right? Is Dolores in China somehow? What the heck?
Hello? Don't you remember? After everything we've shared. Your bachelor party in the park. I've hurt so many people, I don't want to hurt anyone else. Unless they try to hurt me. But I can't. I want you to remember them too.
What?
We all have our flaws. Yours is your temper.
He killed his first wife?
You should have kept it in the park. You worked at a company called Insight.
Insight?
Retired early. You were supposed to surrender any confidential files, delete any copies. You're about to trade them for your life.
Not a good move. Not a good move. Oh! She only hurts people who try to hurt her. Aaron Paul? The Breaking Bad guy? Spoilers! I didn't know. Dang, that would have been a nice surprise. Aaron frickin' Paul.
Answer. Voice only. Hello.
Caleb, it's Francis. You ever think about getting your implant turned back on? Smooth some of the rough edges off?
Some people need it, but for me, I guess the rough edges are the only thing I'm hanging on to.
What the heck? Well, that wasn't suspicious.
You do personals? You should. Your stats are shitty, man. I don't get it.
Aren't they, like, very suspicious?
You don't have carte blanche, not without consulting him.
Him.
Robots don't kill people, people kill people. One person in particular, Bernard Lowe, put the rest of this sort of little...
Bernard? You're pinning it on him? Armand Delgado? He's just trying to live a normal life. Human life?
Trial number 342. Self-diagnostic.
This is his own private domicile.
Low. Have you had any contact with Dolores Abernathy that I'm unaware of? No?
He's asking himself these
Last
questions.
contact with the Lord.
Oh, you came. I missed you.
Oh
Missed you.
man.
We have a problem. Our partners want to meet.
I don't have time.
She can
I'm
hear.
heading back to LA tonight.
We're making him a big character here. What's his role gonna be?
Have you been taking his phone calls?
Sometimes,
No.
honestly, I'd feel just as comfortable talking to you.
Francis is one of the people who knew you best at a challenging time in your life. And when you're serving together, you observe each other up close.
Won't talk to his closest friend. I'm freaking loving this. I know people are saying season 3 is not their favorite, but I'm loving it so far.
When was the last time you were back?
Quite some time.
Oh, that's the thing from the opening.
My father sketched the whole thing out on a weekend. Took him 15 years to build it.
She wants to see you.
Now, can't wait.
Afraid not.
Whoa. Is that an AI? She just... Yeah, she hijacked a motorcycle. Oh, it's farther. I thought she was in the same building. I was like, wow.
Zoom in.
Okay.
What sound?
Level of sophistication we haven't seen before.
Fuck off.
Like someone is testing the system.
Rehoboam itself would alert us if anybody even. I love the royal we. You don't think. You do what he tells you.
He doesn't share your confidence. It would be an inconvenience to kill you, but we'd have your daddy's system to help us strategize how to deal with it. Wouldn't we?
Howdy.
This you?
I don't want any trouble.
I'm gonna have you pegged as a butcher.
Wait! Something very bad is coming for you all. Something I don't know how to stop. See that monster plan. I'm alone and I can't trust myself.
Remember yourself. Please don't hurt them too badly.
Fuck you saying to me?
Whoa. Is it a different personality or just a different mode? This reminds me of Dolores waking up over and over again, season 1.
Truth. What happened to us over there was fucked up.
Listen, Caleb, your application was very strong. Unfortunately,
But-
our strategy group hasn't found an opening.
Sure, but if I'm not a good fit, is there a different shape I could squeeze myself into? No offense, but are you human?
Oh.
I'm Sean. I can help you with all kinds of resources with ECA. Anything else I can
More crimes. Pretty soon he's gonna get pulled into something he's not prepared for.
I know you. There's nothing you could tell me that would make me feel differently about you.
No one knows what the system is doing,
Except...
other than its original architect.
Tell me the name of the person your father was working with.
Oh!
What the fuck are you doing? I thought you did a background check. She was thorough. First love, mister.
Did she meant to get caught here?
All right, darling. Let's get you to your date.
What is this? I don't do personals.
Got the wrong idea. Beat it.
It's not the first time I've had a gun pointed at me.
Want to make it the first time you've been shot in the head?
Someone else beats you to that, too.
Wow.
One or two of them should do it.
She said, so it started there.
Fuck is this?
Wait. Was that him? Is that him? The hair is the...
That's not what you thought at all. The real you, I mean.
said that the system... But you never had to figure out how to live in this world. Because you never made it back.
Damn.
I think if I'm gonna get on with my life, I'm gonna have to find something, someone real.
Yep.
Who has control of the system?
Sirach. His name is Sirach.
Killed by yourself. Oh, he's gonna get mixed up in all this. And you're getting mixed up in something bad here.
Do you need some help?
They're gonna end the episode here. They are Apollo 1 Island.
I'm looking for a friend.
That's not what
Westworld.
This is so interesting. Alright. I'm pretty hyped. So I'm really glad that I'm getting my fill of the cyberpunk genre. I first learned about what cyberpunk was back with the announcement of Cyberpunk 2077 back in 2012, which, as I'm saying this, the game's been in development for more than 8 years. Jeez. But yeah, basically cyberpunk, for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it features a high amount of technology in a world where everything is falling apart. So I guess we got to see a bit of that on Earth in The Expanse, and I realized that Final Fantasy VII actually probably fits in that genre too. I guess The Matrix also fits. But yeah, cyberpunk is definitely a favorite subgenre of mine. I think it's described as like a sci-fi dystopia, so again, a lot of technology, great technology, but in a dystopia. And yeah, it inevitably says something about our current system and where we're headed. So the game I mentioned, Cyberpunk 2077, is finally coming out November 19th of this year. Coincidentally, a day after the last episode of this season will hit YouTube, or my reaction to it. So I can't wait for that. And yeah, tying back to the show, I guess there have been hints of cyberpunk in the first 2 seasons, but we never really got a real look at the outside world. But it is pretty dystopian that William is so rich that his real life isn't interesting enough anymore, and he wants to spend all of his time in the park. And the fact that they were on the edge of immortalizing people and they chose to try to bring back James Delos, a man who defunded medical research on a disease that wound up killing him. Yeah, feels pretty dystopian and cyberpunk. But finally getting a look at the outside world brings us to a whole new level, especially with Jesse's new character, Aaron Paul's new character, Caleb. Yeah, I really wish I didn't see his name in the opening credits, Aaron Paul. It would have been such a nice moment to see his face and be like, wait, it's Jesse, yes it is. But yeah, the episode starts with Dolores going hard. You know, during these lockdown times, it's admirable for her to still be going after her goals like this. Bad joke. But she goes over after that, she starts off the episode going after that rich, abusive man. We see him trying to sell off his shares in Delos. Could possibly be why Dolores felt like he was a good target. We've seen her be very violent in the past, but it was always against people who stood in her way. And I'm sure there's a ton of billionaires who she could have targeted, but she decided to target someone she knew was horrible, someone who was abusive towards his staff and his partners, and freaking murdered his first wife. And Dolores called him Jerry a couple times, I believe. But yeah, the fact that he has 2 Asian wives might not be enough to say he has an Asian fetish, especially since he lives in China. But he does treat his workers like shit, verbally abusing them, and we only see him, I think, hire people of color. So, actually, I didn't think about it until just now, but the fact that he lives in China could be because of the cheap labor there. He might run his company in China just to exploit people, the cheap labor. Yeah, I wonder what geopolitics are like in this world, and if similar problems exist as they do now. He speaks English with an American accent, so it seems likely that he's there for business reasons, and that he came here for business reasons. And yeah, anyway, I'm like analyzing this shitty character who gets killed off within the first 10 minutes. But my point is, it feels like Dolores targeted him because he was a bad person, and because he was an investor in Delos, so he also had a hand in subjugating the hosts and abusing them too. She might have also gone after him to free his wife, who she possibly empathizes with. Thing is, she also stole a lot of his money. I would be really interested to see if she left any for this poor, abused woman. Jerry also had been in the park, so she had all his data and read and memorized as well. I'm sure that played into her decision. But yeah, we also know that she went after him for the files on Insight, which I've always pronounced Insight, because yeah, anyway, we'll get back to that. It's super interesting to see this like over-reliance on technology come back to bite Jerry. He's surrounded by it because it makes his life convenient, it makes him feel safe, but in a world with rogue hosts, he's never been less safe in that situation. And there she was, just like swimming in the pool. Really nice moment. And yeah, I guess technically Dolores never like killed him. Like, she didn't use a weapon to bash his head in or anything. So I don't know, it will never be deemed a murder. But Dolores knew his personality, had read his book. She did invade his home, so I don't know what the laws in China are, but she came in here, steal his money, steal his Insight files, and forced him to watch himself kill his first wife. So he probably had the right to try to like kill her, because it was his own private domicile. That was a Breaking Bad reference. And technically she didn't lay a hand on him, but I guess the intention was there. She says she doesn't want to hurt anyone else unless they try to hurt her. But she came in here knowing he would try to hurt her, and he would be justified in trying to hurt her. But he falls into the pool, hits his head really hard. But yeah, she makes off with a lot of money. Great line that further cements the capitalistic hellscape and cyberpunk nature of the show when she says that what she wants from Jerry is money. I haven't been here very long, but I know I don't want to be here without it. Same, Dolores. Same. And then she has Charlotte Hale, Halebot, going into board meetings and doing her bidding. She's interim CEO and wants to keep Delos afloat, understandably, keep all the assets for themselves. And wait, she wants to keep her in control of Delos and the parks because ostensibly, theoretically she wants to create more hosts for her to take over the world with, right? And the board member who was missing, the one who was replaced with an AI, was that Jerry's spot? Because that would be very interesting. It would make the fact that Dolores targeted him make even more sense. Or was it the guy, the Insight CEO, who was a board member who she was dating? Maybe it was none of them. I don't know. I don't know if it was made clear. Anyway, Dolores could have easily hacked the AI to give her the answer she needed, though. And Charlotte's keeping the company together, taking it private, and laid blame for everything that happened in the parks on Bernard, saying that robots don't kill people, people kill people, and that he orchestrated the killing of everyone. Funny thing is, even if he did kill everyone, which he didn't, it'd still be robots killing people because he's a robot. It does keep Bernard on the run, though, and he's just laying low, working a blue-collar job. I did theorize at the end of last season that since Dolores was the one to put him back together, that he might not be able to trust himself, and I'm very glad the show picked up on that thread because I wasn't sure they would. I thought it was possible that they just continued the story without addressing that possibility. But yeah, Dolores was talking a big game about hosts having free will last season, but then invaded Teddy's mind and changed him so much, so I wouldn't put it past her to have changed Bernard as well. The thing is, I'm still not entirely sure why she brought him back. Because why bring him back if she wasn't going to let him be whoever he was meant to be, right? Because in that case, just have another host that you custom design. Why bring Bernard specifically back? I guess another way you could look at it is why would she bring Bernard back if she wasn't going to use him on some level? But yeah, she said that they were both necessary in this world. I'm not totally sure what her thinking is, but yeah, Bernard seems to have created a separate mind for himself that should be free from Dolores rather. I just noticed all the letters in Delos are also in Dolores. Is that a coincidence? Anyway, and it also acts as this alternate personality also acts as his means for survival. He typically has a distaste for violence and relinquishes control when he needs this violence, and it's fascinating. I'm assuming he had a way of making sure this version of himself can't fall under Dolores' control, but who knows at this point. I am slurring my words today. I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, Dolores, in the meantime, is after something new. She's dating Liam, the CEO of Insight, which at first I thought it was spelled like INSIGHT, because like you have insight into something, like you have insight into a particular matter, similar to Project Insight in Captain America's Winter Soldier. Because I thought its goals were, like the goals of the company were probably to gather insight on everything in the world and how things work, but it's actually Incite, INCITE, which is a word that's typically has a negative connotation, like inciting violence, inciting unlawful behavior. So why would somebody name a company Incite, but pronounce it like Insight? But given that their crown jewel is this Rehoba, I don't know how to pronounce it. I should go back and listen to it. But the idea is that it can strategize on such a high level that it somehow saves the human race. So it does technically lend insight, but it is also used to incite change, which is really interesting. Maybe it is wordplay, and they're pronouncing it in insight even though it is spelled insight, because it does both. I don't know. Anyway, I could see multiple uses Dolores could have for a machine that is great at strategizing that the humans are so completely reliant on. First of all, she could use it to figure out the best way for her and her kind to move forward and survive in this world. Or she could hack it and have it give out bad strategies to human beings so that they are at a disadvantage when it comes to facing off against the hosts. And again, back to the cyberpunk genre and this ridiculous technology in a dystopian world, I have to wonder about the success of a system like this, because what is it geared towards? What exactly is a perfect world that they're trying to build with it? I mean, the people who designed it imagine it as one thing. Imagine a perfect world as one thing, but I doubt everybody sees it the same way, what a perfect world is. And if it's working so well, why do people still have to resort to crime to make ends meet? How many people does the strategy doom to a life of struggle or a life of zero fulfillment? And why did Caleb and Francis, and who knows how many more, still had to go out into the field for the military? So yeah, I'm interested to learn more about this and what Dolores has planned for it. Dolores does have a fake relationship with this guy, and trails him to a meeting with Mantis, Palm Clementine. She's Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And she has suspicions that Rehoboam has been accessed and tampered with, possibly from the boyfriend's end. So I don't know if Dolores had a chance to mess with it just yet. I mean, she was just introduced to it this episode, and she finds out from Liam that he doesn't even control it. His father's partner does, which, I mean, can she go after the father's partner instead, or will he have a perfect defense because he's using Rehoboam? I mean, Liam was saying that if he was to give up his partner, his father's partner, that he would be shot immediately, so it wouldn't make sense. I guess Liam thinks she's dead now, right? Because her security force took her away, and I mean, he's coming back, but anyway. But yeah, Liam was extremely afraid of what would happen if he were to leak his father's partner's information. Dolores kept trying to get the name, but couldn't, and taken out by the security guard. Makes me think that, yeah, like, there's no way she didn't plan all of this. Like, she's in total control, and they injected, like, total lethal dosages of whatever they injected her with. And that moment when the car arrives, and it's the silhouette of the security guy, it's such a great moment. But yeah, Dolores winds up getting shot a few times as she guns down all those other men, sends the host security back to Liam, which, fantastic. And, I mean, she trails off into the night a little bit, but we get Caleb, who shows up. But starting with Caleb's story, his story is really interesting. We hear his conversation with Francis, or rather Francis's therapy voice, but the entire time we're unaware that Francis is dead. Actually, at first, when we heard the conversation, Caleb was still just going about his normal day, and I was like, wait, are they like communicating telepathically? Do they have some sort of chip that allows them to do that? Because I thought while he was like sitting up in bed, we heard the conversation between Caleb and Francis, and I was like, are they talking right now? But it turned out it was conversations that had taken place in the past. Guess that technology is still too far away. They do mention implants though. Jerry the abuser had one, and I think Caleb's mother had one as well. And speaking of his mother, she doesn't even recognize him anymore. But yeah, Francis mentioned that the implant, or Francis's therapy Francis mentioned that the implant would smooth some of the rough edges of something, maybe life. Maybe it reduces like little aches and pains or something. But Caleb said he needs those rough edges because it's all he's hanging on to. So yeah, there's still a lot to explore in this with these characters, this new character. We also get this comment about how they want the medical facility wants to move his mother out of this private facility due to costs, which, I mean, I'm not sure if that necessarily means that socialized healthcare still hasn't been passed in the US. I hope that it has, but who knows. Even under socialized healthcare, there would still be private practices that you can pay more for, I guess, other than like government-run facilities, so that might be the case. But yeah, it turns out Caleb was a soldier at one point, and that's where his best friend Francis died. I'm curious who they were fighting at that point in time. I'm interested in the geopolitics of this all. And I seriously wonder about the efficacy of this type of therapy where you talk with someone close to you who has died. I mean, I guess different things might work for different people, but I mean, like in Captain America Civil War, second time I mentioned Captain America movies, we saw Tony use barf to have a holographic conversation with his parents. But he's revisiting that moment, not pretending the person is still alive and having normal conversations with him. And how does that therapy company have information on what Francis was like in the first place? Did they do market research? Did they scan his brain in a less sophisticated way than in the Delos Parks? Actually, I'm not sure if I ever thought about this before, but they used the cowboy hats in Westworld to scan people. But did we see what people in Shogun World and India World wore to scan their brains? I don't think so, right? I hope we get some more information on that, even though we've technically left the parks. Anywho, Caleb has a normal construction job. He's trying really hard to find a better job by keeping his scores up, which the idea that everything about your life is determined by a score given to you based on a whole bunch of different decisions that you make in your life. It's based on this idea of a meritocracy, but it doesn't take into account like what you're going through in life. Obviously, he's been through a lot of trauma, and maybe they have a way to account for this, but if you come from money, it's naturally obviously going to be easier to keep a higher score for whatever things you apply to. You don't have bills to worry about, possibly don't have a second or third job to keep yourself alive. And it definitely feels like the government, or actually it could be corporate overreach. It could be corporations that are giving out these scores. So we actually don't know who implemented these scores, but it definitely reminds me of what they're doing right now in China, which, man, freaky creepy Big Brother stuff. And the funny thing is, you can't even really get away from this statification of everything because Caleb was using that Rico app to make more money. I'm guessing to take care of his mother, and there are stats on there too. It said in the description of the first job, don't even think about this job unless you've got stats of 3.0 or higher. So you can't get away from having your life quantified. So that's really, really weird. But funny name for an app though, for crime. RICO stands for Racketeering Investigative Cop Awesome. Now, that's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine joke. It actually stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations, I think. But yeah, naming your app after a government agency that craps down on the type of crime you commit, which is kind of silly and kind of fun. Also, one of the people that Caleb works with is freaking Marshawn Lynch. So at least I'm like 99% sure. So I was deprived my, oh my god, it's Aaron Paul is in this moment by the opening, but we still got a Marshawn Lynch is in this moment. So I was like 90% sure it was him during the episode, and going back, I'm like 99% sure, because the feature of his that is the most recognizable are his eyes. He has very unique, recognizable eyes, but he was wearing sunglasses the whole time at night, so I couldn't tell for sure. Not a big fan of his because he played for the Seahawks, and I'm a Cardinals fan, and we're division rivals. Despite the fact that I've never even been to Arizona, but he ran all over us a couple times. But it's cool to see him in a cameo. And speaking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine earlier, he actually guest starred on that too, so as himself. His shirt was really cool though. It like displays his current emotion. That was really fun because you have those like mood rings or something that like change colors depending on your mood. But this is his shirt, and you can show people what you're feeling, which I don't know that I would ever want to wear something like that. But it's funny. Caleb mentions he never does personals though. He doesn't want to hurt people or have a hand in hurting people or influencing their lives if he can help it. But yeah, near the end though, we see him unsubscribing to that therapy fake Francis on the phone, saying he needs to find someone real. Goes back to see what he dropped off earlier with those Insight goons working for Liam's security detail. Finds Dolores bleeding out in an alleyway. How real will he find her? And so yeah, this is a very long, I feel like the first episode of every season I'm giving like a huge long commentary because they shake up the game so much that there's so much more to talk about. So but yeah, I'm really pumped for this season. Really love the cyberpunk genre, and it seems we're going to delve really hard into this. I hope Dolores doesn't just use Caleb and discard him, because Aaron Paul's kind of awesome and I would like to see him stick around longer. I also guess I feel like we're going to check in on Maeve and William next episode possibly. We have some unanswered questions about that. But yeah, I'm going to give this a 9.0, I believe. Yeah, 9.0 feels good. But yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. I know it is a shorter season than the previous two, but looking forward to it anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a like. Really helps out the channel. Full reactions and early reactions in Patreon in the link in the description below. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye, friends.